Hi, Haley. Today we're going to read a book to you called A Giraffe and a Half by Shel Silverstein. By looking at the cover, can you tell me what you think the book is going to be about?
I think it's about a boy who gets a giraffe at the store or
Or
at
somewhere?
an animal place.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a good observation. So, Shel Silverstein is the person that wrote the book. And as you can see, looking at the dust cover, you can see the different pictures that he drew on the dust cover. And so we can go get started on the book. Are you familiar with what a fiction book and a nonfiction book is? What kind of book do you think this is?
I think it's nonfiction.
A nonfiction? Why do you think it's a nonfiction book?
Because
So let's review. A fiction book is anything that could be make believe. Somebody just made up a story. And a nonfiction book is something that has to be true. So which one would you think it would be?
I think it's fiction.
Right? Because he's holding on to the giraffe. So we're about to find out what book it really is. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. A Giraffe and a Half by Shel Silverstein. If I had a giraffe and he stretched another half, look at him pulling there, you would have a giraffe and a half. If you put on a hat and inside lived a rat, you would have a giraffe and a half with a rat in a hat. If you dressed him up in a suit and he looked very cute, you would have a giraffe and a half with a rat in his hat looking cute in a suit. If you glued a rose to the tip of his nose, you would have a giraffe and a half with a rat in his hat looking cute in a suit with the rose on his nose. Whew, that's tongue twister right there. If a bumble old bee stung him right on the knee, he would have a giraffe and a half with a rat in his hat looking cute in a suit with a rose on his nose and a bee on his knee. If he put on a shoe and then stepped in some glue, you would have a giraffe and a half with a rat in his hat looking cute in a suit with a rose on his nose with a bee on his knee and some glue on his shoe. Wow, that's a lot of things happening to that giraffe, huh?
Mm-hmm.
If you gave him a flute and he played a tooty toot, he would have a giraffe and a half with a rat in his hat looking cute in a suit with a rose on his nose and a bee on his knee and some glue on his shoe, playing toot on a flute. If he used a chair and combed his hair, look at him combing his hair with the chair, you would have a giraffe and a half with a rat in his hat looking cute in a suit with a rose on his nose and a bee on his knee and some glue on his shoe, playing toot on a flute with a chair in his hair. That's a lot. If he tripped on a snake who was eating some cake, there's the snake, you would have a giraffe and a half with a rat in his hat looking cute in a suit with a rose on the nose and a bee on his knee and some glue on his shoe, playing toot on a flute with a chair in his hair and a snake eating cake.
That's a lot.
Right? There's too much going on to this giraffe. If he found an old trunk and inside was a skunk, he would have a giraffe and a half with a rat in his hat looking cute in a suit with a rose on his nose and a bee on his knee and some glue on his shoe, playing toot on a flute with a chair in his hair and a snake eating cake and a skunk in a trunk. If he met a fat dragon who sat in a wagon, he would have a giraffe and a half with a rat on his hat looking cute in a suit with a rose on his nose and a bee on his knee and some glue on his shoe, playing toot on a flute with a chair in his hair and a snake eating cake with a skunk in the trunk and a dragon in a wagon. Oh my God, this poor giraffe. If he jumped on a bike and rode over a spike, you would have a giraffe and a half with a rat in his hat looking cute in a suit with a rose on his nose and a bee on his knee and some glue on his shoe, playing toot on a flute with a chair in his hair and a snake eating cake and a skunk in a trunk and a dragon in a wagon and a spike on his bike.
Whoa.
Yep, I think he's having a crazy day. If a bubbleberry whale got a hold of his tail, You would have a giraffe and a half with a rat in his hat looking cute in a suit with a rose on his nose and a bee on his knee and some glue on his shoe playing toot on a flute with a chair in his hair and a snake eating cake and a skunk in a trunk and a dragon in a wagon and a spike on his bike and a well on his tail. He's pulling a lot of stuff around.
He's probably tired.
Yep. And if he fell in a hole that was dug by a mole, that's all we can see, the rose. You would have a giraffe and a half with a rat on his hat looking cute in a suit with a rose on his nose and a bee on his knee and some glue on his shoe playing toot on a flute with a chair on a hair and a snake eating cake and a skunk in the trunk and a dragon in a wagon and a spike in his bike and a well on his tail and a hole with a mole. But if you brought him a pole to climb out of the hole and the well left his tail and went off for the mail, and he gave the spike bike to a scout on a hike. Look, he gave away his bike.
That's nice.
Yeah. And he left the fat dragon because his wagon was sagging. And he gave his chair to a tired old bear. And he traded the flute to a bird for some fruit. He's eating the apple there.
Mm-hmm.
And he told the old snake to go jump in the lake. And the man who bought junk bought the trunk with the skunk. And he gave the rose to a girl he chose, his girlfriend, while the bee on his knee flew away with the flea. And he put on a shoe with the glue on you.
Oh.
And that silly old rat ran away with his hat. And he put his suit in the laundry chute, so he took it off. And he shrank another half. You would have a giraffe. So basically, he started off as a giraffe, but his friend made him go through all of these situations, and he just got in trouble. He fell down the hole. Have you ever been in a situation where you think, like, there's so much going on, you don't think you're going to get out of it, but then you fix it? No? Sometimes those things happen. So much is going on in school, and you're like, oh my God, it's so much homework, so much work.
We don't get homework.
You know? Wow. Well, sometimes it happens in life. But when it does, you can always get out of it. And there's always good news at the end of the rainbow, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see here.